So the question is it worth getting? Now this is talking about the godsaw. You probably noticed that in the title. I would say yes, it's a nice little thing to grind for. Now to get it, you have to, get 160 kills, 1,160 kills with 5 weapons. Now I've talked about that in another video. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but I just want to kind of clarify a few things about the godsaw, kind of the pros and cons. So the cons really are the fact that it's not a CQB weapon. You use it in CQB and it struggles just because it doesn't have a laser sight or it doesn't have any sort of attachments. Now to counterbalance this, it has really good damage. Now the damage is 200 at 10 meters, but you have to be accurate. You have to hit headshots. You've got to think of it like that. Otherwise, you're not going to do very well. You're probably looking at things like the godsaw and thinking, oh, if I get the godsaw, I'm just going to go around smashing everyone up. So I'm going to grind for it for whatever reason. If you can't aim with any other weapon, then unlocking the godsaw isn't going to change. It's not going to change anything. Okay, it has certain things that give it the godsaw look, like the Araxian plating and stuff like that, which looks cool. But again, it's just a godsaw, a different type of godsaw. So bear that in mind when you're grinding for it. Now, this is not to say not to grind for it. It is a nice gun. It's just that most people, they generally use the godsaw. Now, you'll see on PC that people generally use the godsaw instead of the godsaw. And this is because it has a 100-round mag, and you can fit a laser sight and a suppressor on there. You can fit HVA ammo. Is it HVR? HVA? HVA, high velocity ammunition, which counteracts some of the suppressor. So, you can add a suppressor on the godsaw and still do a ton of damage, which is nice. Now, with the godsaw, you can't really do anything up close. You have to be medium range, I always feel. But again, you do 200 damage. So if you do manage to land those shots, you could do a ton of damage, and look good doing it. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say it looks pretty good. Look at it, looks absolute beast. Now, when you add different camos to it, like a white camo, for example, you'll see it has like a white tint on it, which looks really cool. So if you've got Araxian armor, it looks absolutely beast. Just let me invite this guy back to the squad. So as you can see here, you have to get really close. If you're at a medium distance, the hip fire is going all over the place. So a lot of times with this weapon, you aim down sight. Now, the reason why one of the reasons that makes this weapon kind of good is the godsaw-like feel to it. It's kind of like a godsaw without the attachments, but there's an added something to it that makes it kind of unique. And when you click up on the touchpad, you get a anti-vehicle kind of damaging thing. So you see here, it doesn't damage vehicles. You do this, and you'll see I'm team killing. That's because it damages vehicles. Now, it doesn't do a ton of damage. It's not. You can't go around like owning every tank that comes along, but you'll do a significant amount of damage to vehicles. You'll take a bit of health off, and if you need to finish them off, it's a great gun for that. I use the godsaw mainly for CQB, but I also use the godsaw sometimes. But with the godsaw, it's not very good at CQB. As you can see with the godsaw or the LA1 anchor, they're more fitting for CQB. With the godsaw, you can add a laser sight on it. With the godsaw, it can be pretty difficult without the laser sight to get kills. Like the anchor, for example, you can put a laser sight on that. With the godsaw, you can put a laser sight on that and a suppressor. And the godsaw, you kind of don't get that. But the niche thing about it is you can actually get vehicle kills randomly by clicking up on the touchpad, on the D-pad, sorry, not touchpad. Generally, what I use the godsaw for is like lock-ons. So I've got like an annihilator class, which I use to lock onto enemy air, and then I will shoot at enemy air with the godsaw. And again, if you've got multiple godsaws, so if you've got 2 or 3 godsaws in a group, and you're hammering vehicles, it can be really good, can be really useful. But again, it's down to, team. That comes down to team play. So Again, is it going to work? You know, you have to get team play, but for solo play, the godsaw is really good. It can do a ton of damage and it can get headshots. But I don't use it for that reason. I use it with the annihilator or the swarm, is it? Yeah, I use it with the swarm, and I'll fire 3 rockets to people, then I'll try and finish them off if they're wounded. So yeah, I hope that gives you a little insight into what's what. Makes it pretty useful. Again, you know, it's situational, so I will leave it there, and I will see you soon, guys. Take care.